What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Game Day Scoreboard here on CBS Sports HQ. I'm Chris Williamson. So many storylines to dive into Monday night, including how projected #1 pick Cam Ward will look at his pro day, what to expect from Juan Soto in year one in the Big Apple, and which #1 seeds in the men's tournament are facing the most pressure to succeed in the Sweet 16. And that is where we begin for Game Day Scoreboard. 2-1 seeds in action Thursday. Duke taking on Arizona and Caleb Love. Florida battling Derek Queen and Maryland. Then Friday, it'll be the Houston Cougars going up against Matt Painter and Purdue. Then how about the overall #1 seed Auburn going up against Michigan, 9:39 Eastern, right here on CBS. And with that, we welcome in CBS Sports senior men's college basketball writer Matt Norlander, who has been working nonstop around the clock after so much chaos in college basketball for our Sweet 16 pressure meter look. And let's start, Matt, with the #1 overall seed Auburn. On a scale from 1 to 10, how much heat do they have to make it out their region, starting with their game against Michigan?
Yeah, it's great to be with you, Chris. I'd put it at an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. I'd put Auburn at an 8 here. Auburn obviously was at the top of the sport from a metrics standpoint and in the AP Top 25 rankings for more than half the season. Lost 3 of its Final 4 to end the season going into the tournament and got a good push from Creighton in the second round on Saturday night, and now here we are. It's getting down to Atlanta. Auburn fans obviously very, very close by. Tigers fans should dominate. I would think it will dominate that arena, in addition to obviously Ole Miss isn't so far away, Michigan State, and then Michigan as well. So we've got a good SEC Big Ten contrast clash in that corner of the bracket. But Bruce Pearl has made a Final Four before. Janai Broome needs to, this is the moment here. He's going to go up against a couple of really good bigs in Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf. But overall, I'd put him at an 8. Certainly plenty of pressure after how well they did. And more than anything, to me, it's because they also represent the SEC. And if the SEC wants to really have indisputable claims to being the best conference in a single season in college basketball history, I think at minimum it's got to send a team to San Antonio, and Auburn is the #1 overall seed, so plenty of pressure comes with that.
Yeah, a lot of eyes will be on them to see whether they're able to get to San Antonio. Now, Florida, they were a few boards away from perhaps not making it to the Sweet 16, but they are here against Maryland. How much stress are they under to win their region?
You know, I don't think it's as much. I'd put Florida at a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10 for a couple of reasons here. Todd Golden is just a few years into his tenure with the Gators. This is the lowest ranked of the 4-1 seeds. If Florida were not to get to the Final Four, it wouldn't be a huge shock. It was the least popular 1 seed pick to make the Final Four in all the brackets at CBSSports.com and on the CBS Sports app. They got a scare from UConn, but I don't see the program being under immense pressure to break through. It's going to have Maryland next, and we'll see there. And then on the bottom half, Texas Tech, and then John Calipari and the Arkansas Razorbacks with another SEC team potentially waiting. We'll see. I actually had Maryland over Florida in my bracket on Selection Sunday, so I think the Gators are going down later this week. But, you know, as always, I stand to potentially be wrong. But I think of all the 4-1 seeds, I think Florida actually has the least amount of pressure on it.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, if they do make it to the Final Four, they would be exceeding expectations based on how they were looking to start the year and compared to the other teams in the SEC. Now, Duke, Matt, in the East region, they battle Arizona, and we know the spotlight on them, especially with how talented this team is. John Shire has assembled a great group. How much pressure is on them from 1 to 10?
Well, before I give you the number, let me just put a little perspective on why I'm going to give you the number that I'm going to give you. It's not like John Shire is under any kind of pressure from a job perspective. He's in year 3. He is passing the test. He gets an A grade through 3 seasons of running Duke's program for the most part here. It's more about what the season has been and the perspective around it and who's on this team. I'm giving Duke a pressure of 10. It is going into the East. It has cruised through the first 2 weekends. Through the first 2 games. It may well cruise through the first 2 weekends. Once we get to the end of the second weekend, we'll see. But now you've got to go up against Caleb Love one more time. I believe Caleb Love has played Duke 10 times in his career, so this will be game number 11. So you've got that with Arizona and a rematch. I saw those teams play in person all the way back in November. And then we'll see what awaits on the other end of it. It will be Alabama or BYU if Duke can get past Arizona. This has been, the Cooper Flag show. Duke's been the most talented team. They're representing the ACC. The ACC was down. No ACC teams made the second round other than Duke and Carolina, and Carolina couldn't even advance beyond that. So, there's a lot. There's a lot riding here. Carolina didn't even make the second round, by the way. They lost to Ole Miss. So I was giving the ACC more credit than I even should have. So to me, the pressure is the most on Duke because of everything that surrounds it, and it would undisputably be seen as a disappointing season if that roster, Cooper Flag, if they didn't at least make the Final Four.
Yeah, especially because we know Cooper Flag is only playing 1 year, probably Kaman Malawich as well in Conca-Nipple. So this is the year that they have to seize with all the talent that they have. Now, Kelvin Sampson and the Cougars, they're going up against the Boilermakers. We know what happened last year. Jamal Shead gets injured. Perhaps they're going to beat Duke if he doesn't get injured in the Sweet 16. How much duress are they under to get out of their region?
So I'm going to give Houston a rating of 7 here. What's interesting about Houston, and that's my title pick, by the way, and I think it will. I think Houston's going to win 4 more and win a national championship. But it's going to Indianapolis, and its first game is against Purdue, and so you got all these Boilermaker fans in state. I mean, they're going to flood that building. And not just that, though. Kentucky and Tennessee are the other 2 teams in that regional. And that's a drivable thing for both of those fan bases. So Houston will probably be the least represented program in the building, yet it's the 1 seed in the Midwest Regional semifinals. And Kelvin Sampson's done a wonderful job. He's made a Final Four. Houston has finished as a top 2 team at KenPom the past 3 seasons and is well on pace to maybe do that again. So there's a decent amount of pressure on Houston, but I don't think that it is nearly at the level, or maybe not entirely at the level of Auburn and Duke. Houston is expected to be a team that makes the second weekend, expected to be a team that's, among the better ones in the sport. But given the circumstances surrounding what awaits it in Indianapolis with all those other fan bases, I don't have the pressure quite as high. But all 4 1 seeds have very intriguing matchups awaiting them immediately and then potentially in the second round. We don't have Cinderella here, which I'm not happy about. I wish we had 1 or 2 teams from the mid-major ranks that broke through. But in absence of that, the fields are loaded, and it's why, although we've only ever had one year with 4 1 seeds, and that was 2008 Final Four in San Antonio, I put it at a near zero chance, Chris, that we're going to get that because there's too many good teams remaining. I think at least one of them is getting picked off.
Yeah, in this day and age, especially with the transfer portal, NIL, the way teams are able to assemble, anything is possible. And Matt Norlander, we appreciate your time as always. Get some rest before the Sweet 16 tips off, man.
Thank you.
And remember, we have Matt Norlander, Avery Johnson, Gary Parrish for the Final Four in San Antonio right here on CBS Sports HQ. They will have you prepared like better than ever.